The Polish side canceled the delegation that was supposed to arrive from Israel. Why? Why would they do that? The Polish government is anxious to have good relations with the state of Israel. Why would they do that? Generally, when something like that happens, you need to look and to say, what's happening locally? As the saying goes, all politics are domestic politics. In the end, it's primarily domestic. In another 2 weeks, there are elections for the European Parliament. Later, in 2020, there are national elections. All the political parties are very aware that whatever happens in 2 weeks will then impact on what's going to happen next year. And therefore, they want to get as many votes as possible. Or put differently, they want to make sure they lose as little votes as possible. And therefore, it's a very difficult situation, or I would say a sensitive situation, not difficult, sensitive situation, that the ruling party finds itself in, that they perceive that if they criticize anti-Semitism, they could lose some of their electorate. Those anti-Semites right now don't have their own party. They're anxious to keep that. They should not create their own party, stay within the larger party, which is not, I would say, anti-Semitic. There are other problems with the ruling party, but I wouldn't say most of them are not anti-Semitic. There may be some anti-Semites. But the bigger problem is because they're afraid they're going to lose votes, they don't want to come out and say exactly what they think about it. Now, I know I speak to them privately, and they say, we're absolutely against this, but we need to get through the elections. It's, to put it in a short sentence, it's the Charlottesville phenomenon, where you just can't condemn the bad people because they vote for you.
How do you get out of it? I mean, what is going to happen? Practically speaking, there's property, there's issues. We're going to wait for after the elections?
I'm a big believer in diplomacy. Diplomacy is not tweeting. Diplomacy is not making public statements. Diplomacy is sitting down quietly, without the press, without you guys there, and to try to have each side understand what is important to them and what is hurtful to them. The Polish side does not fully understand how upsetting it is to us that anti-Semitism goes unchallenged. We, on the other side, sometimes don't fully understand what is upsetting them. Now, for example, just in terms of language, there's a difference between reparations and restitution. Reparations, pitsuim, damages, is saying that a country did something wrong, they have to pay a penalty, as Germany has been doing for decades towards Jewish and other survivors, through the Claims Conference for the Jews and others. Restitution is not saying anybody here is getting penalized. There's no damages. Simply that I had a house, it was taken away under the Germans left, then the Soviet system took it away, now I want it back. That's not damages, that's not reparations, that's restitution. And we need to be able to clarify the language. I agree, no reparations from the Polish side because they didn't do the war. The Germans did. However, restitution, there is a moral obligation to restitute property. There is one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not steal. That's pretty basic.
And do you see this as a continuation to the previous tensions regarding the Polish law about the Holocaust?
In the big picture, what you're seeing here is that there's sensitivities from both sides. And those sensitivities are often not understood by the other side. Doesn't make them right because they don't understand, but if we're going to have a relationship, we need to understand what is upsetting the other side. In the big picture, what happened with the law, the intention of the law was to protect the good name of Poland, that they shouldn't be blamed for what the Germans did. However, the result of the law was now Poland has the worst reputation it's had since the fall of communism. Therefore, it just from the the political analysis point of view, the goal was not just missed; it achieved the opposite. So that person
Who's to blame?
I don't like the word blame. I don't blame anybody. The person responsible is the person who put the law forward and pushed it. And that person, I believe, has lost out domestically, politically. His stature has fallen.
So what's our next stage? Wait till after the elections and then things will be a bit more pure?
Do not wait till after the elections. Engage now. They may not respond till after the elections. President Duda, 4 weeks ago, condemned an anti-Semitic newspaper. Straight out, it was in Jerusalem Post, it was in the Washington Post. I mean, that's as public as you get. And the thing is that we often don't hear the criticism of anti-Semitism, but we do hear the lack of when anti-Semitism is criticized. And we should be critical when that happens. We should raise our voices. Or maybe better yet than raise our voices, maybe we should have deeper diplomacy, speaking quietly but very clearly to the government that this is what doesn't work if you want to have a relationship with us.